we are really looking forward to showcasing the highlights of the project so far from the Champions perspective, as well as looking to the future of the Hub and how you can get involved in the next chapter that the Hub is going to undertake. So before we start, a quick housekeeping. Whilst today we're not planning on sort of sharing lots about mental health experiences, we will be talking about events which reduce mental health stigma, and therefore you need to be aware of your own personal vulnerabilities and to pay attention to how you're feeling. If at any point you start to feel anxious or distressed by what you hear, then please do log out and take a break for as long as you need. You can then rejoin if you feel ready. If you need support, you can call Samaritans on 116 123, or you can text SHOUT to 85258, or you can look for local mental health services in Kingston through the link posted in the chat. There are lots of help and support out there, so do look after yourselves and reach out if you need. This event is going to be recorded and made available on YouTube and will be linked on social media. So the video will mostly feature the speakers, but may feature you at the beginning or end of the event. So if you don't wish to feature in the video, please turn your video off. To keep the meeting running smoothly for all, I would ask you all to keep yourselves on mute for the duration of the event and use the chat function for comments and questions. This can be found at the bottom of the screen. You'll find a little box that says chat. Right, now that the housekeeping is out of the way, let's get started with the event. So Time to Change Kingston is a mental health campaign with the objective of reducing mental health stigma and discrimination locally in Kingston, with the national campaign closing in and Minding Kingston picking up the coordination of the Kingston Hub from Health Watch Kingston at the end of March. Kingston Champions thought it would be a nice nice way to remember this chapter of the Time to Change Kingston project by doing this celebration event. So today a number of our wonderful champions will take us on a whistle-stop tour of their highlights of the project since it became funded hub a couple of years ago. But first we will hear from Time to Change Kingston Hub came to exist from Liz and Stephen, who were involved at the very start. So over to you, Liz.
Hello everyone. I realised that I've are there slides and can I see them? Or oh yeah, there we are. I was kind of using these slides for everything. So just I'm kind of reading the slides a bit for everyone, but for those of you who have only been involved recently, we started working on Time to Change back in 2017, and I worked with Stephen and Rianne back then to put in a bid. Our first bid, I think at the time to Change had already done tranche 1 and we were bidding for tranche 2 to become a hub, and what we became was an organic hub, which is a bit of a euphemism really, because really what it means is we're an unfunded hub. So it meant that everyone thought our bid was quite good and we had potential, I think maybe, but we didn't get the money for a coordinator, so it was all about us working out what we could do locally ourselves. We could use the resources that were available, various training, and encourage people to be champions, and various other things we did. But we spent quite a while then just kind of sort of finding our feet really. And one of the really positive things, we had someone called Christella, who was the coordinator, who helped us a lot and came along to our meetings. and put us in touch with someone called James Martin, who was a local champion and became our chair for a while. And through the work of James, Christala, Stephen, Ryan, myself, and various other partners, you'll see that on the right-hand side, which is amazing, really, and thanks for putting this together, Persephone, just all of the people who were our partners in the bid. So we had to say in our first bid, you know, who was supporting us and who would be involved in taking forward the work. So it wasn't just the three of us who put the bid in, but all of these other people, which is a testament to the support in Kingston and really that has continued. So anyhow, we worked together and we did all sorts of different things, but, you know, with our not much funding. And then there was the opportunity for tranche 3, and I think based on what Christella had seen, and we'd kind of grown as a group, our second bid was successful, obviously, as you know, and that bid also has all of the support from the volunteers, local organisations in it, and again, everyone has continued to support us on this journey. So that's just my kind of introduction to sort of the history of getting to the point where we became a funded hub. So I'll pass on now to Stephen, I think.
Brilliant. Thanks, Liz. Stephen, are you there? We can't hear you.
I'm stupidly on mute. I apologise, everybody. Right. What I was saying was thank you very much, Liz, and great start to the celebration here. Delighted we're actually sort of doing this today. This has become, you know, a culmination of a huge amount of fantastic, really wonderful effort by everyone involved. That's the champions, that's all the stakeholders, that's all the kind of people who have taken up, I suppose, voluntary and paid in some ways leadership roles to actually sort of make Time to Change Kingston a really successful hub within the Time to Change network. And I'm delighted to have been part of it at the very beginning. And of course, this slide is about how we actually got from being an organic hub, all sounds very woke, and actually then developed ourselves into what was absolutely necessary to become a funded hub. And those of you who know me, I don't really lie down. If I fail first time round, I certainly dust myself off and I get up and do it again. And Liz and I and others got together, and this time we engaged a whole raft of wonderful people across the borough to actually make our previous bid even better than it was before. And we were chosen, we were shortlisted, and I remember all too well, Tony and Rhiann and Liz and I all were planning to meet in Stratford, and I turned up dragging myself on what I considered was to be my almost deathbed at that point, coughing and coughing and coughing. You certainly would not get out of home coughing the way I was today back then, but I also remember kind of coughing my way through our interview, and the Mind panel were actually hugely patient and supportive of the effort that we'd made. I think the key thing, takeaway from that meeting, all of us, was that we were able to share what stigma meant to us. And that's how we opened the presentation. So we all had stigma or experience of what stigma, the impact stigma had on us. And then we felt that we could actually sort of bring that to bear and support the growth of a hub locally. So as has been said, the slide says 1 of 8 funded hubs, second in London after Waltham Forest. We obviously, as part of the funding, secured some money to recruit for the post that Persephone has more than fully occupied over the past year and a half. We were delighted to secure Persephone a breath of fresh air when she walked through the door at the recruitment session, and you were by far the leader of the pack in that scenario, and delighted that you stuck with us. Even more delighted that at the end of the year's funding, we were able to kind of rally the kind of funders, really, I suppose. I gathered together Health, RBK, the NHS, and Health Watch Kingston, and between us, we then equally dug into our funding pots to secure an extension for Persephone's post through to the end of March 2021. So we were delighted with the work that had been done. We're certainly not wishing to drop the ball at that point. and wanted to actually sort of continue the sustainability element of the work that we said we would do. But as I said before, at the very beginning, none of this would have been possible as much as the excellent, wonderful work, and huge thanks to Persephone for all of it that Persephone has done during this time, supported lectured by Lucy and Elizabeth and all the others at Time to Change in mind. We could not have done this without the actual fantastic volunteer effort of the champions involved. And I just want to say a huge, huge thank you on behalf of the partnership, on behalf of myself, and on behalf of the Health Watch Kingston board for all your efforts collectively in actually sort of putting Time to Change Kingston on the map.
Hello, my name's Debbie and I'm a Time for Change champion, and I'm just going to talk a little bit around World Mental Health Day, October 2019, which was when we were actually allowed out to meet other people. So we put our little gazebo up in the marketplace in Kingston and had some leaflets, some information out, some signboards, and encouraged people to come and talk to us about mental well-being and their mental health. And it's just nice to get out there, be with my Time to Change champions outside, and have the public just come up and speak to you about their mental health issues, how they struggled, how they, ask you for information if they're struggling currently and not too sure where to go. So it was a really uplifting event, and we were, there was 10 champions and partners involved, and we spoke to about 44 people about mental health that were in Kingston that day. And looking from the photo, it looks like the sun was shining a little bit. So yeah, it was one of those days where we could actually get out and be with people face to face rather than the virtual world we are at the moment. So it was a really nice way to spend the day.
Hey up everyone, it's me, Tony Williams. I'm a Time to Change champion, and this slide's about the setting up of a thing called the Champions Network. You saw on Lizzie's slide that there was a steering group established, and I think certainly all the funded hubs have to have a steering group. And to be honest, the steering groups are a little bit on the dry side. They're about making sure that we deliver on the bid, and that we disperse the monies and things like that appropriately. And the champions felt that we wanted to have a forum where we could be excited, and we wouldn't talk about governance, we talk about making changes to people's lives and things like that. So we established a separate forum which is a bit more vibey, which is called the Champions Network, and that's run in parallel with the steering group ever since. I suppose the other thing to say is there's a little note down there about the champions check-in. We decided we wanted to have also just a half an hour before the Champions Network where people just hang out really. So, we could kind of bond a little bit and not feel that we had to do anything remotely businessy. So that's what this slide's about.
Hi, yeah, Rachel here. So yes, I was casting my mind back actually to being in one of those meetings back in January, February last year, with all the other champions, and being with this group of really kind of passionate, enthusiastic, inspired kind of other people who wanted to make a difference. So we were thinking about what we could do for Time to Talk Day last year. And we wanted to come up with a kind of creative way of sharing some of our lived experiences of mental health and mental illness, but in a way that started a conversation with more members of the public. So the Kingston Living Library was born, the concept of that. So in the lead up to Time to Talk Day, 6 of us, with the help of Create for Mental Health, Justin there, we created recordings of us each talking about just for a few minutes about our interests, hobbies, jobs, but also critically our experiences of mental health and mental illness. And the great thing about those 6 episodes was that there were common themes in all of them, but they were all really different and really just interesting and a pleasure to listen to. And so our aim obviously was to reduce the stigma around talking about mental health, but also to just for a few minutes for someone listening to increase their understanding, opening a window really to give them a bit of insight into experience of mental illness or health. And then so on the day, thanks to Superhighways and all the Time to Change champions, we managed to pull together equipment. We had tablets, headphones, and we set up stations around New Malden Library. And so where people, the public, could come in while they're in the library and just pick up a tablet and listen to any one of those stories or all of those stories. And it worked, and it was really it was my first experience with the hub, being a volunteer champion, and it was just wonderful to see the public kind of engaging in that way. And the great thing about the living library was we wanted it to be like you can borrow a book, you could borrow a person. So all the champions who'd made the recordings were there on the day, and so we invited people to come and talk to us, ask questions about what they'd heard. And as you can see on the day, we spoke to 54 people on that day. And just as a small case study, I was remembering, I'm sure he won't mind me saying, but it was that day that I met and spoke to Fabian, who was a member of the public interested in what we were doing, came to ask about it, and then has become one of the key champions and gone on to do great other work. So I'll let him speak about that later. And yes, we use the concept of living library at a number of other events throughout the year. And we've also created the virtual online living library. So that's available on the Healthwatch website. So anyone listening now, you can still access, and we've added to that over the year. So you can listen to any of those stories, and get in touch with us if you'd like to record your own. And yeah, I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Yes, me again. So following on from the Living Library event in New Malden, we did another Living Library straight after at the Hook Centre on the way down to Chessington. I think, yeah, it says here, it was our last face-to-face event before the pandemic. And it says here we had a stall. It was really well attended by lots of wellbeing organisations and lots of people, actually. Really buzzy day, and not just a Time to Change there. This was an event which I think was hosted by Kingston Culture and Heritage. So there were a lot of other perspectives around, and there's a whole series of workshops going on during the morning. And Sheena and I ran, I think, the last of the workshops, which was an introduction really to Time to Change and what it's like to campaign against mental health stigma. Yeah, it was a great day out.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm also a champion for the Kingston Hub. So on Mental Health Awareness Week, we transferred the Living Library online, like Rachel was saying. So this was the first launch of it going online. I thought it transformed really well. I thought it was quite smooth. It's a mixture of audio, and then also there's a transcript as well, depending on how you want to listen, which I think is fantastic. And like Rachel was saying, please do get in touch if anyone wants to add to it. It's great. We also hosted 2 In Conversation events. I was part of one of them with Tony. That was really great. We touched mainly on my mental health experience with post-traumatic stress disorder. And then Fabian's book launch event happened that week, which I think Fabian's going to be talking about later. We did a lot that week. We really did a lot. Like, I think it was it really showed how much we can deliver and how much we can plan, and it's all realistic. So I just thought it went really, really well. I was also helping out with the social media campaigns by creating the artwork along with Ryan. He helped with that as well. I thought that went really well, very engaging. And we also created lockdown tips for the community, which I'm actually going to speak about in the next slide. So Yes, so the Champions lockdown tips is fantastic. We were all very conscious of the impact of lockdown for everyone's mental health, and this was the first lockdown. We're obviously now in the third lockdown. So yeah, back in the first lockdown, we were wanting to make sure everyone's mental health was okay. Me and various other champions have lived experience with mental health, so we've learned over the years on how to cope with our mental illnesses and, you know, developing healthy coping strategies. And we wanted to share that with people because some of them is quite transferable for, you know, the anxieties and the low moods and stuff like that that people are inevitably feeling, you know, in first lockdown, second lockdown, third lockdown. You know, I really think these kind of lockdown tips can be shared for as many years to come, really. You know, I don't think it's something that just needed to be just for that week. I think it's a really valuable source really for people to learn and to help themselves. And we also made a conscious effort to make sure that we express that, you know, just because one strategy works for me doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. It's about, you know, trying out, testing out which ones fit for you, and to not be put off if one of them doesn't work. You know, just because one doesn't work doesn't mean the next one's not going to work. Yeah, thank you.
Hi there, I'm Fabian Devlin. As Rachel said, I first came across Time to Change in Kingston at that Living Library event in New Malden, and I was feeling really anxious at the time, and I went along. My wife had seen a leaflet, and everyone was just so welcoming, from Stephanie to Rachel, Sarah, Tony, and it was just, yeah, it was a really start of something very positive for me. And then I went along to the network meeting the next week, and then I was at the Hook Centre, so it was very quick actually. And I got talking to Stephanie and Lucy about this book I was putting together, Men's Mental Health book, and the book launch on the 20th of May 2020 during Mental Health Awareness Week was the culmination of a year's work putting together this book, Big Boys Don't Cry, which had over 50 stories from men of all backgrounds with different mental health issues, sharing their experiences, their tips and advice for others who were struggling, trying to break down that stigma that Times Change did so well. And the key message from the book was really that you're not alone. Other people are going through this. So we'd originally planned to hold an in-person event at the Oval Cricket Ground, but with Time to Change Kingston's help, we adapted that to an online event and reached a much wider audience. We had 180 guests attending. We had a BBC Sports presenter, Alison Mitchell, hosting it. And we heard men read their moving stories and their poetry, including Tony, Kingston champion. And we had music from a funk band called the Soul Immigrants, who played their song around about mental health called Back from the Brink. And we had a panel discussion as well with some of the book's contributors, including the wife of someone who had taken their own life. And she shared her memories and spoke very passionately about suicide prevention. That was a particularly moving part of it. But the strapline for the book is "Don't man up, open up." And that's exactly what these men did at the event. From an RAF soldier who'd served in Basra to a former Manchester United player. They really all showed that kind of vulnerability and helped to kind of break down the stigma and silence around mental illness. It was a really emotional and uplifting event. And hopefully the launch, along with the book, can really help reduce stigma around mental illness. So we move on now to World Mental Health Day, October 2020. Again, we just pulled out all the stops and all the champions got involved, and there was a whole range of diverse events leading up to and on the day of the event of World Mental Health Day 2020. So we had Eleanor's Kingston Community Music Chat. Eleanor successfully brought together like-minded music lovers who discussed a real eclectic mix of music, music-related stories. Everyone shared their stories, shared their songs, actually, that were helping them keep up their spirits during the pandemic. and created a playlist of these, and I'll add a link to the chat shortly. But oh, sorry, I've just gone on mute there. Have you heard anything of what I've just said then? Oh, nothing at all. Oh, sugar, sorry.
Yeah, no, we have
About the last 5 seconds or so.
Oh, okay, so we got on to World Mental Health Day. I don't know why it went on mute there. Anyway, okay, so World Mental Health Day. We had loads of events there. We had Eleanor's Kingston Community Music Chat. And here we shared songs about things that were keeping our spirits up. It was a real eclectic mix of songs. There's something for everyone, from the Eurythmics to Bruno Mars, from a track from The Greatest Showman to Judy Garland. I will add a link shortly to the chat. But the event really showed the power of music to help with our mental health. Sarah did a talk with a model called Alvina. It was called Fusing Fashion with Mental Health. And Sarah Alvina revisited a social experiment, a really interesting social experiment from back in April 2019 at a gallery in the East End of London, where Alvina modelled garments made by Sarah that raised awareness of obsessive compulsive disorder and schizophrenia. And it was really fascinating to watch the public's reaction in the gallery when we were allowed to meet. And also to hear Alvina give a really unique insight to the fashion world and the impact on her and others' mental health. And then we had the two in conversation events hosted by Giselle from Kingston Libraries. Sarah again shared some really interesting insights and experiences of her mental health issues, including the post-traumatic stress disorder, and the support also that she received from friends and family, especially her mum, as I remember. There was the second in conversation was with myself, Tony and Eleanor, other fellow Times Change Kingston champions. And we shared our experience of mental health issues and stigma, support, and our tips as well. And I remember hearing how Eleanor received some really useful advice to set 3 goals for herself each day, however big or small, to really help give her that motivation. And Tony as well described how his brother-in-law had taken him fishing when he was going through real mental turmoil following leaving his job of 30 years. And just having someone be present and accepting and there for him was such a great help. So a quick whistle-stop tour, but another really memorable World Mental Health Day for Time to Change Kingston, adapted for our COVID times, and all helping to raise awareness of this incredibly vital campaign. Thank you.
Thanks, Fabian. Wow. I hope you're enjoying this whistle-stop tour of the Champions highlights so far. I'm going to stand in for our wonderful champion, Rasha, who did great work helping to create a resource box. She is on here helping with the chat today, but could not hope to talk without being interrupted by her little ones, so asked me to step in. So we created both a physical and virtual resource box to help the future sustainability of the hub. Champions brainstormed the ideas for content and design options, and then market researched them to find the best value items. These items have now been purchased. The virtual resource box includes items like a year's Zoom subscription, Photoshop, social media software, while the physical resource box, which will be useful once it is safe to return to face-to-face events, includes things like branded t-shirts, roller banners, branded bookmarks, first aid kits, etc. One of my favourite elements included in the resource box is many copies of Dorotta's design, which you can see here at the centre. I am just a phone number away. Dorotta is one of our wonderful champions who you'll hear from in a few minutes. We've branded that in as a postcard with at the back it's a blank postcard with just check in on a friend #time to talk, so on the back. So hoping to give that away to people to try and encourage people to check in on each other, and sort of promoting that it's okay to not be okay, which is so important. So now we'll move on to Sanhua and our wonderful Korean engagement project.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Juan Griffis. When I was first invited to Time to Change, I wasn't quite clear how to start, what I was meant to do or supposed to do. And slowly I got to know, members and discussing it about mental health care, and this was great, and I realized how important it is, and also it's a great chance that you gave us to introduce that in writing to Korean community. A lot of Korean community, there are 20,000 communities Korean living in New Malden area, but their English is not always perfect, so they quite hesitate to come forward. But we managed to translate all the members' idea into writing in Korean with the help with Pomgi together. And it was quite nice to talk to other people and get the opinion together, and we put it in a word. In fact, you have to contact other people, and you have to drink a lot of water, you have to walk, you have to do what you like to get it over this coronavirus lockdown period. But actually, until you get these tip cards in front of your eyes, it just wake you up, it's all of a sudden, yeah, I must do that. And I have a lot of congratulation letters and thanks notes from all our members. It was this amazing, and also it was distributed just before Christmas time with a little gift of sweets and pies. And in fact, the Korean they don't have this Christmas pie and things like that, but it was nice to introduce them to Korean community with this card together. And Dorota's unique sort of drawing worked really, really well. I just have to say thank you to all of you, and I thoroughly enjoy working with you. Thank you very much.
And that's me, December 2020, and Kingston Zine. This was an amazing project that was associated with a bit of surprise as I pitched about it, but didn't really believe that it will be accepted. And when it has been accepted, I was petrified. Oh my God, I now need to deliver it. It is a magazine that exists in an online version, but also hard copies. There are 57 colorful pages exploring mental health services in Kingston. You can download it from HealthWatch Kingston for free. 100 hard copies have been recently distributed by the Save the World Club to the partners they work with, and there are other 40 copies that will be delivered to libraries as soon as we finally meet, and I will be able to pass them on. Each hard copy is accompanied by a postcard, the postcard that Persephone already mentioned, that encourages people who have the hard copy to make a little gesture of kindness and send it to someone that they would like to know that they think about. The project itself was a huge project, I must admit. The time frame was pretty tight, and I abused some people in terms of asking them to proofread, and in particular the two champions, Steve and Tony, were constantly bombarded by messages from me. It was a lot of effort put in it, and it was heavy in terms of workload, but it was so amazing, and I can't even imagine that I have not done it, because now I not only gained many connections and friends, but feel somehow connected to Kingston. So I think that I would like to provide you with a short sneak peek into the inside of the. And that's it from me.
Hi, that video was amazing. It was nice to have some music in between. Hi, everybody. It's lovely to meet you all. My name is Rajita, and I come from the Sri Lankan community. And when I heard about the Time to Change, I don't know how I got involved, but somehow I did. And I have been working with the Tamil community anyway, and if you must know, like other communities, we don't do mental health. It is something that's brushed under the carpet. And so this Time to Change project gave me an opportunity to sort of raise awareness. So what I did was I had a workshop on Zoom for 3 days, 3 Sundays. So the first one was on mental health, talking about mental health and different types of mental illnesses and how we can deal with that. And the second workshop was on suicide awareness, and the third workshop on children's mental health. So what I did was before the event, I put in an advert in the local newspaper, that's online newspaper in Tamil. So that's the little thing that you are seeing. So I had a few people who joined using, having seen the advert, and it was a huge success in that people were able to talk. Some men attended. I had some people who came in and shared their experiences, and I had a gentleman who actually spoke openly about his he tried to take his own life away a few years ago. So he shared that. He was a Tamil-speaking gentleman, and he shared that on Zoom, which was really amazing. So overall, it was quite successful, and I feel that I've done a little bit of raising awareness, and I'm quite pleased with that. Before I finish, I just want to share a quick testimony as to how this event, how I view it as a successful event, because after the 3 days finished, I thought, oh, have I done enough? Should I have done more? Could I have done anything differently? So, but then just about 3-4 days ago, so this event finished in January, by the way, and then that's it. I left it at that. 3-4 days ago, I had a call from this Tamil lady, and she rang me and she said, oh, I came to your program, the last day's workshop, I came. And I took your number down, and only now I've been able to call you. and she wanted to talk to me about her daughter, who's 18 years old, and she's been staying in bed. She hasn't been going out. She said, you spoke about the symptoms, and she's got all the symptoms for depression. So, she said, what can I do, kind of thing. And the saddest thing of it all was that she was using her youngest child's phone, and she said she had to come out of the house to talk to me because her husband doesn't like to talk about mental health, or he's not acknowledging what's going on in the house. So she was talking to me in secret outside the house. So that was really sad, and I was really heartbroken by what she said. But it just shows the stigma around it, how it's all there, out there, and how much more I have to do, how hard I have to work. I have to work even harder to get through to my community. But again, I was deep down, I was pleased that this event, if anything, just for that one call that I had from that lady, I felt, okay, yes, it has been a success, because she took my number down and she made that call. So I was really pleased. I just want to thank you all, everybody who supported me, Louise, Lucy, and Stephanie. Your help, your guidance was really appreciated. So thank you very much. And that's it, I'm done. Thank you.
Hi, it's Debbie again. That was a really moving story. Thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, so we've moved on now to February 2021 Time to Talk Day, and 5 champions hosted an in-conversation event called Small Things Go a Long Way. There was myself, there was Tony, there was Sarah, there was Eleanor and Dorota. We all spent a good hour together putting this event together, and it was recorded, so you will be able to see it on YouTube, I believe. So there was also a National Times Change poetry book, which featured Fabian and Zoe and Martin's poems, and check in with a friend, which was a champion's poster on 7 of the e-boards around Kingston, which was based on the check in with a friend thing from Dorota. And we decided that we would use those lovely iconic telephone boxes in Kingston so that we could connect that message with the Kingston Hub and people in Kingston. Dorota also did an amazing poster for us with the Small Things Go a Long Way, taking in all the things we'd spoken about, like Eleanor had found music really good to get her through the pandemic and things, and just having a friend with her and not feeling alone. Sarah shared that she'd had someone walk with her when she was going through her dark times, making sure that she got to uni so that she could attend the lessons. And Tony shared with us that his brother taking him fishing when he wasn't in good times meant a lot to him, and I shared the fact that I was very lucky to have my next door neighbours who would make sure that after my husband had gone to work in the mornings, would make sure that I'd got up, showered, eaten some food and taken my medication. And those sort of things for us in that group, those champions, meant an awful lot to us, and helped us through our dark journeys and out the other side. And we couldn't have done it without them. And it was a lovely event to take part in. So if you want to see that, you can actually catch that on YouTube.
So I took part in that in conversation, like Debbie was saying, and then I was also working on a virtual immersive exhibition and live talks. So both of these events that I created and hosted were kindly supported and funded by Time to Change Kingston through the Champions funding that I applied for. So really, without this, without Time to Change, it just wouldn't have happened, to be honest. So I'm really, really grateful for everything, and Persephone's ongoing help with it. We've had a lot of phone calls about it behind the scenes. So yeah, the online immersive exhibition featured my work from my brand, which so my mental health, my current collection is on mental health, and each outfit represents a mental health condition. There are 7 conditions, so a couple are schizophrenia, depression, anorexia. I interviewed people to then they were like the building blocks of the final designs. So I conducted interviews to really like learn firsthand people's experiences, as well as incorporating my own experiences. There's also a mixture of photography, embroidery, that from like designers that I collaborated with, and this is really showing us that, you know, any medium, any art medium really has like the power to raise awareness of mental health. You know, I don't think it's limited, you know, it's limitless. And I also had 180 plus people visit the exhibition. There was a global reach, you know, from all across the UK and Greece, Portugal, the Netherlands. And then in conjunction with that, I hosted a series of live talks. So I hosted 6 with industry professionals in the fashion industry. So these were a mixture of people ranging from models to couture designers with 35 years experience. Also another designer who is a disabilities advocate, and her brand is catering for the disability community, and a dancer. So it's big wide range of people talking, with a mixture of, you know, a few years experience and, you know, 35, 40 years experience, you know. So it's really interesting learning about everyone's insights about what they have experienced in the fashion industry, all related to mental health. You know, I was opening up the conversation how we can tackle stigma and discrimination in the in the fashion industry, sorry. And, you know, how we can keep the conversation going. You know, are people really open to talking about mental health? If not, how can we tackle this? 136 tickets were sold for these talks, and we reached all across the UK, which was fantastic. We also reached to Mexico, USA, and Sri Lanka, which was incredible. Didn't know any of those people that turned up. So that was really, really great highlights. And we also got featured in 3 press articles as well. So that was London College of Fashion, Kingston Hub News, and Southwestern Londoner. So yeah, all very, very positive. And yeah, kind of makes me want to carry on these talks as well. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the future. And also the online exhibition is actually still going. So I will put in the link if anyone here wants to visit it. Best experiences on PC or Mac, and it's free to enter. And you can literally walk around at your own pace to go and discover artworks, and it's all very educational. It's all raising awareness of mental health conditions. Like I said, really abolishing the stigmas and misconceptions.
Hi everyone, I'm Paddy, and I organised an event with fellow Time to Change champion Molly D. Chase called From Scene to Scene. That was really kindly funded by the Time to Change Champions Fund. The premise consisted of a screenwriting competition that lasted from November into January, the theme of which was encounters, and had to be based on an interaction that had actually occurred in the writer's life. This was kind of to encourage people opening up about their own experiences. And we had quite a few unusual ones that we received, including the person who sort of comically ended up re-meeting someone who mugged them. It doesn't sound funny, but it was actually. And the anxiety over the first day in a new class, and a meeting of an ex-Tinder date's best friend. The scenes that we chose went on to be performed on Time to Talk Day by a group of professional actors. There were 6 scenes that were chosen, the top 3 getting prizes, and also we had 3 powerful mental health monologues detailing experiences with mental health issues, written by some people active within the mental health community. I did one myself as well. it was kind of difficult as we were doing it over Zoom, which is not exactly known for its traditional theatrical ambience. But I think we pulled it off quite nicely and managed to make a connection with those who may not talk much about mental health, and even some people who never opened up about their own experience of mental health issues. The 3 mental health monologues really struck a chord with people and opened up quite a bit of dialogue in the chat feature, which was really amazing to see. And we had people from America, from as far away in the UK as Enfield, which is North London, and across the UK as well. I'm just kidding. But we sold 83 tickets. We had 54 people in the Zoom. And I think it worked really well for the aim for what the event was, because we not only wanted to bring people for this competition, but we wanted to encourage the idea of writing and creativity as a source of healing and catharsis for your mental health. It was really important for me, actually, and I'm so grateful for Time to Change for giving me this opportunity, because I got to talk about my own experience of mental illness for the first time publicly, about dealing with borderline personality disorder, a condition which faces a lot of stigma and discrimination. And I'm incredibly grateful. Just before I finish, I just want to say thank you to everyone with Time to Change for allowing me this opportunity and to share this with everybody. And particularly want to thank Persephone, who did so much in the build-up. I would not have been able to do it without her. And also Eleanor and Tony for everything they did in the lead up to the event as well as during. I'm just grateful to you all and grateful to be a part of this incredible celebration as well. So thank you.
Hello everyone, Diana here. I have attended my first Champions meeting last month, and I'm really excited to be part of the plans that are developing for Mental Health Awareness Week in May. As nature is the theme for May and also source of inspiration, we had the idea of holding an online art workshop where everyone can take part using recyclable materials from around your house or your garden, as both nature and art can help with our mental state and well-being. Also, after the success with the previous In Conversation event, we will also be holding another one for Mental Health Awareness Week, where champions who recently joined will share their experiences, myself included. Just before Christmas, a few days before Christmas, I bought a bunch of cards, a bit more than a bunch maybe. I wrote a message in them and I left them on the benches in Kingston by the riverside, just for strangers to find them. And at the bottom, I have left my Instagram account name. The response I've got from those letters, I think I left about 20 around, was absolutely mind-blowing and really, really emotional for me as well. Not only the fact that people thanked me for the little note in there, but some people shared with me things they were struggling with as well. So I kind of realized back then that I'm not the only one struggling with things, and a small thing can make a massive difference indeed. So the group thought it would be a nice idea to duplicate the idea, right? But include an anti-stigma message in the notes, something like, "It's okay not to be okay." And also to include Dorota's postcards, checking with a friend. It's just to encourage people to look after one another, really. So these are just a few ideas that we will look into at the next meeting next week. Join us if you like to get involved, and keep checking social media for further updates. Exciting things coming up. Thank you.
That's me again. Yeah, on hearing of the closure of the national project, there were lots of conversations nationally and specifically in London about how we sustain all the things that have been done so far and how we build on it, really. I spoke with a guy called Steve Loft, and with John Salmon, who runs the What's Going On in Your Head events. And we decided we ought to do something in order to attract the attention of the 1,500 or so champions in London, to make sure that they know that there's still something that they can connect with, and give us some sort of platform for promoting interworking between the existing 5 or 6 hubs in London and a range of champions who maybe don't have a home. This is a piece of work in progress, I would say. Everything is to be shaped. What we're called, what our boundary is, how we're going to approach this is all open for debate. Really exciting. There's a legacy event in respect of London Time to Change on the 18th of March, which I'd flag here, where you can see rather as we've been doing, you know, what's been occurring. But we also now have dates for 2 of the formative workshops for the new network or community or whatever it's called. So get your diaries open and put aside either Monday the 22nd of March from 6 o'clock or Wednesday the 24th of March in the middle of the day at 1 o'clock to participate in that conversation. And there'll be a mail out if you didn't manage to write that down in time, to all the 1,500 champions in London, drawing their attention to the existence of those opportunities. So hopefully I'll see you at one of those.
Thanks, Tony. I'm Rihanna from Minding Kingston, and I think, as most of you will know, Minding Kingston will be picking up the coordination of the Kingston Time to Change Hub from the 1st of April onwards, and we're really excited to be hosting this in Kingston. Just listening to everything that's been mentioned before, this is a great legacy to build on. The champions have done amazing work. Minding Kingston has been part of that. We've been part of the panel who have awarded the funds to the champions, and I really hope that as we go forward we can continue some of that fantastic work. We're really keen to support the champions to challenge stigma and discrimination. So we really want the hub to be about the champions and encouraging what the champions want to do going forward. As we move into April, there will be a bit of a transition period, so we will not have quite the same capacity as Health Watch Kingston has had so far. But there are some meetings already booked, and we will be talking about the priorities going forward. There's also a little bit of funding available to support the work of the champions, so lots of exciting things ahead. And I just want to say a big thank you to Persephone, who has done an enormous amount of work pulling this together, and also supporting myself and Stephen at Healthwatch and Liz at Kingston Council to manage this changeover period. So thank you to her. And finally, to say, really look forward to working with you all in the future. Thanks.
Thank you, Rihanna, and all the champions that have talked about their activities before that. So hopefully you've enjoyed the whistle stop tour of the champions highlights over the last couple of years. I know we've reached 5 o'clock, so if you do need to go, then completely understand. But we've just got a couple more slides to wrap up. We know that there is still more to be done to to reduce mental health stigma and discrimination in Kingston. So thanks to the continued enthusiasm from champions, partners, Kingston Council and Minding Kingston who have agreed to pick up the coordination role, there's still plenty more to get involved with this year and hopefully for years to come. So first and foremost, to continue to be involved with the Kingston Hub, you'll need to sign up to Minding Kingston's Time to Change Kingston mailing list. You will need to do this if you want to hear about anything about the Kingston Hub after the 18th of March, when my coordination role unfortunately finishes. So just to be clear, this is not just for new people to sign up, it is for anyone and everyone who wants to hear about the future of the Hub, whether you're a champion, a partner organisation, an interested Kingston resident. It's really important that you sign up so that we can stay in touch with you. So please do go on the link that's going to be posted in the chat. So next we would like to invite you to come along to our upcoming meetings. As Diana said, we have our next Champions Network meeting next Wednesday at 1 p.m. where we will be discussing primarily Mental Health Awareness Week. This is a great meeting to come along to if you're looking to get more involved in the types of events that you've heard about today. So please email me for the Zoom link. My email address will be put in the chat. We also have set out the following Champions Network meeting on 21st of April at 3 p.m. and the steering group meeting on 5th of May at 2 p.m. to help make the transition to Minding Kingston, picking up the coordination as seamless as we can. This will be a good chance to do final preparations for Mental Health Awareness Week in May and to look at the priorities, as Rihanna said, for the coming year. So we are always looking for more Time to Change Kingston Champions to get involved. So if you are interested in reducing mental health stigma through events, activities, online campaigns, please do sign up to the new mailing list by clicking the link provided. You can be involved as much or as little as you want, and hopefully you will find it a fun and rewarding experience. You can also contact ttck@mindinkingston.org.uk, which is in the chat, with any questions about the Hub. So finally, I would just like to say a huge thank you to everyone for making all of what we've talked about today possible. So a big thank you to Kingston Council and the Health Watch Kingston board for stepping up to firstly draft the bid twice and then to deliver the 2 Time to Change Kingston organisational leadership roles on behalf of the partnership. A massive thank you to Time to Change Kingston for granting the funding and supporting us through the last couple of years. Shout out to Elizabeth, Christala, Lucy and Yusuf for all your help with Time to Change Kingston. A huge thank you to Minding Kingston for picking up the coordination role from April onwards, and to Kingston Council for continuing to support this project. A massive thank you to all the local partner organisations that have helped reduce mental health stigma, both within their organisations and in the wider Kingston community. And last but not least, a huge thank you to all the champions that have dedicated their time and effort to making these events and activities possible to help reduce mental health stigma. You are all amazing. And we really hope you will continue the incredible work with Time to Change Kingston this year and in years to come. It's been such a privilege to see all of the champions grow, yeah, it would be great to see what you come up with next. So yeah, it's been a pleasure to coordinate this project for the last 18 months, and while I'm sad that my time with the project is ending, I am so pleased to see that the Hub will be continuing on the great work beyond March, and look forward to seeing what amazing projects you come up with next. So we really could not have done it without you all, so thank you. So we hope you've enjoyed our Kingston Celebration event. Thanks for joining us. I would like to end by stopping the share and asking you all to unmute yourself and inviting you to show your appreciation for the champions and partners for speaking up about mental health and helping to reduce mental health stigma.
Thank you, Postpone.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. It really has been such a pleasure to work with you all. So thank you.